Well, Steve, it's been an absolute pleasure to meet you. Got to hear more about your story today. Over 28 years around professionals, coaching, not only coaching in Q sports, but you mentioned also about golf. But primarily, what do you think has been the game changer in your style of coaching compared to all of the other coaches that are out there?
Cool, that's a massive question. The bottom line is the other coaches out there were never able to understand how players saw straight. So they taught a feel method under a blueprint which basically coached a feel method. So if you were right-handed, you were taught to put the right leg on line. If you were left-handed, taught to put the left leg on line. Well, Einstein doesn't need to be consulted to understand that your eyes are not in your right leg or your left leg or your right foot or your left foot. We need to understand how people see straight and then work the physics and the geometry of the game.
I love that. This morning you talked about the way that we were going to break down coaching was not going to be from a feel, it was going to be from scientific perspectives, right? For me personally, this is an actual dream, as I know we talked earlier a bit more about my story about losing my eyesight back in 2015, and I've waited over 10 years to work with you, and I am so happy and grateful that I managed to finally do it. The things that I've gained from you today, which everyone firsthand saw, even blew my mind, and I just want to say thank you ever so much. I think what SightRight has done for me personally has made me step out of the bubble, and made me want to look at the game from a different perspective with new belief, if that makes sense. Because for a while I was starting to wonder, can I get through that amateur barrier, professional barrier? Because I've been competing with the professionals since I was a teenager. But what is going to be that changing shift? And I think I finally found the start of the process. Thanks to you today.
I think what you're saying there is, even if you look at someone like Ronnie O'Sullivan, he knew he had to basically reinvent himself. That's what he did back in 2018, 2019, to stay ahead of the field, and that's what champions do. So equally, if you're not improving and then you think, well, what's the difference between me and him? I don't have a mental issue in terms of the way I play the game. I know there's technical problems, but if people can't solve them, then that's no good to you, is it? All right? So we solve problems by showing people the truth, how they see straight, no guesswork, making sure that we prove that, and then burying it into the geometry of the game, the physics of the game, and pure sight and alignment, and then technique that follows afterwards.
Absolutely. And just before we finish up, there's something that you said earlier, and I would love to just hear from yourself, your perspective, your words, your vision of where Q Sport, and predominantly as well, the game of 8-ball pool, but Q Sport in general, how it's going to evolve going forward, and also what is it going to be like for all of the juniors coming up for the next decade and onwards into the future.
Look, if we give juniors proven coaching methods, then they fly. They get to a point where they don't worry about whether or not there's a technical flaw. It's all solved at the outset. For years and years and years, student players have either struggled to make 100 or struggled to make a professional level, and they've been held back because of technical flaws, visual and technical flaws. If we remove that problem and make this game very, very simple to learn, very scientific, very individual to the player, then we can raise standards beyond what anybody else has ever done. And I believe that the paradigm shift of SightRight is now reaching near what I call the final stages. People can't stand in the way of it anymore.
I love that. I love that. Today was all about mindset as well. I'm big heavily onto that, and I think that we've got the best coach leading us all the way forward. Thank you, Steve.
I appreciate the interview.
Appreciate that.
Thank you.
Cheers, guys.
Cheers.